Coming up in this episode of the KickCast, David Cross wants to take a few hits, get your sleep on with some spray, and Reddit find some shitty Kickstarter projects. You heard me right. So sit back and relax. It's time for the KickCast. Hey everybody! Welcome to another episode of the KickCast, the podcast where we go out and find projects and we let you know if you should backtrack or sack them. I am Ktdata, fresh from CES, and it's kind of sad because it's over the internet now, but it is the great, the venerable, already filling new minds and encouraging the future of, you know, journalism and filmmaking, the one and only Drew Tyler. How you doing, Drew?
Thank you. I'm good. And yes, I'm back at it. I'm in the week and a half of molding young minds and giving life advice and changing things across the board. People love to see that.
How far behind are you on your grading already?
Shut up. Yes, I'm already behind on grading. Thank you. I had one of my classes turn in 10-page scripts, so I have 30 10-page scripts. So
what? That was probably the one Rachel was like, no thanks to Drew.
Yeah, that's the one.
I told her, just do it on Destiny. And
you know what's funny, though, is I asked him to do this, and then I brought in a guest speaker, Scott Weiser, who was on our show. Remember he talked about storytelling? I saw
that picture. I'm like, hey, I know him.
He gave this awesome lecture, and it was fantastic, and I just smiled in the back because the whole time he was like, you shouldn't start by writing right into your script. You got to start with a log line and create this armature and structure. So he went through some of this like brainstorming that happens before you even write script, and I just had smirked in the back because I knew that the reason why I had asked for my 10 pages was more of a conditioning mechanism to say you are going to do crap in this class and you're going to do a lot of it. So I kind of was like, great, now scrap everything you guys just turned into me, scrap it, start over with this. So it's kind of funny.
Oh, man, I want to take one of your classes. I really
do. This one's good.
If I had
so stoked.
If I had time, I'd so do it.
This is a good one.
And then you know me, I'd like twist it and like somehow make parallels in there and to see if you would even notice in my script.
You would. Anyway, back to the topic at hand.
Yep.
Life is good.
Yes, and I hope everybody enjoyed our special CES episode. There's so much goodness. We had to double the length of the episode.
It was a hefty one. It was good. I caught so many, like there's so many people, so you could almost pick and choose which segments you watched, but we had some deep like info in there. It was good.
Yeah, we had some great advice for people who are looking to look for starting their own projects. We also have some projects who some of them have not even launched yet that we talked to on there. So I'm waiting for them to email me back saying they've launched actually. And then others who are kind of midstream on there. The one thing that I actually wish I asked some of these guys were, when do you think is a good time to launch on there?
Oh, because like time of year, time of
or yeah, I mean, like, do you do it around a trade show like that where we'd be wandering around on there, or if they would rather do it later, or are they going to plan for like a holiday or something to make sure they can deliver before that holiday if that's a good push?
Interesting. And what did you get back on that?
Yeah, I mean, so like that's the one regret I wish I had asked anybody. So if you're a project creator out there, and
yes, let us know.
I'd love to know some of this feedback because that is some of the cool information. All right, so Drew, CES of course starts at the beginning of the year. First week of January on there, and during that week, the New York Times actually came out with this article called Keeping Up with Kickstarter, and kind of what it did was it took the numbers from Kickstarter in 2014 and kind of hashed it all out.
Oh, told you what projects did and how they did and how they did well or not.
And to kind of give you some great information on there. And they also interviewed Yancey Strickler, the CEO of Kickstarter, on there. And he actually put some really good information out there. One of them is that not all categories actually perform well. It's obviously well known. But what category do you think doesn't perform as well?
Like as in perform, as in like actually hit its goals. I'm gonna say, tech or fashion. I don't know.
So you're actually pretty close on there. So in this article, he says, although that the technology, things that are commoditized, things that you can actually get in your hands later on, tend to raise the most money, but their success rates are actually the lowest. So they get the most money, but a lot of them don't deliver, or they deliver late on there.
That makes sense.
And what's even more interesting is that projects that are closer to the fine arts, so your theater, your dance, your music, on there. Those actually are more successful, but it's on a smaller scale, so they raise less money than what you would get. So I mean, so that's what, if you think about it, that's how it works.
But your percentage is more likely to pull up what you get what you're thinking you're going to get.
So I mean, because we and you see it all the time. Even we had Casey McKinnon, right?
Carly McKinnon.
McKinnon.
Yes, her album. I've been listening to some of the special tracks on the album, and it's so sweet.
Oh, you already got an advanced copy?
I got advanced listing privileges.
I see how
it's
it is.
Awesome.
I'm just in the dark. I'm like,
I'll have to send you something. It's just good. It's really good.
But yeah, she was very successful. Although she only wanted what was it, $1,500?
She was up to 4,000, but
4,000,
yeah,
on there. But it's not asking for $125,000 or $1 million for any of these large projects.
No, very small.
But that gives you a better chance. So if you're actually designing your project, think about that and say, okay, what realm am I in? And do I shoot for the moon, or do I do something a little bit more reasonable? And it seems that if you do something a little more reasonable, sometimes you'll even get a little bit more than what you planned for.
And I think that would be the nice thing to plan on, and basically say, I'm going to do this at a reason, an actual achievable goal, and hope to surpass it enough to kind of add a little bit of pad to what we're doing.
Yeah. And what's really interesting about this is that sometimes people actually will tell you that they'll put a lower goal just for that, even though they technically actually need the first stretch goal to be able to do it. So, which
is honestly, it's a little scary, because if that's your MO and you just say, okay, my project really is going to take 30,000 to pull off, but I'm going to set this at 15 or 20,000. If you hit that, you're obligated to pull it off. And now what do you do about that big gap of money that didn't come in? So while that tactic may work for some, it could also cause you some big headaches, because then you can't deliver.
But I think that actually does go back to some of the advice we actually learned from CES, when people are like, know where your first sales are going to come from.
Yes.
And then account for that.
Yes, agreed.
Lots of nuggets. So if you didn't watch last week's episode because you're like, it's an hour long, I don't want to watch this, you should.
Yeah, just put it on during a drive time and listen to us banter. I mean, the audio version it's not as beautiful, because that was beautiful, by the way.
Oh, dude.
But so much information, so much good info.
So yeah, some great information. And then kind of actually going back, Drew, you work in the journalism world, communications. You train people to go out there and
I've lived that life.
Become writers, write the stories that they want to write and stuff. What is one of the biggest problems with trying to find a career in that?
Well, and that's probably where I am happy as the instructor of digital media and not the instructor of multimedia journalism. I love the digital media side because I know how to encourage people to make money with that. I often will have students come in and they'll say, I really want to be a broadcaster. I want to be an anchor, a reporter, on the TV side, but I don't know if I should, go into this emphasis or your emphasis. And I always tell them, come to my side, because I will give you skills and talents that'll actually make you money. If you go to that side, you aim towards this one thing of journalism that just doesn't pay. Period.
On there. So we like to find new crowdfunding project sites, and we actually found a new one. It's called Beacon.
It's been a while since we've had a new one. I mean, we've had like porn crowdfunding, we've had like clothes crowdfunding, we've had different countries. So this one is for journalism projects.
Yeah, so it's both for writers and for people who are looking to fund projects, and it works just like Kickstarter on there, where they'll list different projects, and you can go and pick which one you would want to fund, or you can start your own. I mean, let's see. Here's a great one.
This layout looks very familiar, by the way.
Very familiar. And this one's right here. That I think it's, how'd you get that media job?
That's the project. Yes, I'm going to write about how to, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and they're looking for 7,500.
For a story, or is this a series? I can't read it from here.
They will provide a web series that asks prominent, innovative women and journalists of colors, the movers and shakers in the news media industry, about how they got to where they are in their careers.
So they're asking women and journalists of colors how they got there.
Yeah, like this one is a $5.
There's an answer for this. You guys, let me tell you this. This is straight from the book of Drew. It's a very shallow world in that industry. So if you're a woman or a journalist of color, you have 10 times more opportunity to get a job than a white middle-class male. That's science. Sorry, I see it all the time. So that's how they got there. That's the answer. We had one of my stations that I worked at. Again, I was just a lowly editor, but I saw the worst reporters coming through solely because of like reverse affirmative action or whatever it is. Like it was like, this guy should not be on the air. He doesn't know how to tell a story. He'd sign off every time with like, hey. Like, it was just like, what are you doing? So, good storytelling. I'm actually kind of happy that Beacon is putting this out there as an opportunity for people to write stories and tell stories that you almost kind of pay for in advance. You kind of back them and say, I want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear what you're going to do. I like that, because honestly, you're not going to get that support, gratitude, or money from the journalism industry as it is.
Yeah, and looking through this, it seems to be kind of so they kind of position it more like Kickstarter on there. But as you go through, there's monthly subscriptions, and you get access to backlogs of the writings and stuff. To me, that actually seems a little bit more like Patreon.
Oh,
so
yeah.
So it's almost Patreon and Kickstarter's close on there. And like this guy's published 121 stories already on net neutrality, and he's raised almost $70,000.
So if you back him, you get access to that back catalog.
I think you do on there.
That's really interesting.
And so out of that $70,000, he makes about 1,200 of it recurring. I do like how much I like how it splits it out to say how much he's made total and how much he's actually making recurring. That's cool.
Really nice. That's really nice.
So if you're a great writer, I am a terrible writer. That's why I do video.
Well, that's the key. So, the reason why people either get into journalism or pursue it further is because they're good at writing. That's the core talent skill that you have to have. It helps a lot in digital media, but if you've got flashy skills and edit skills, you can make it in that world. But writing is always going to be needed. So if you're trying to figure out what to do with your life and journalism is interesting to you, I'd find a mode like this to fund that passion for writing and telling stories, because I don't think you're going to find 70,000 in any normal local industry job. Just saying.
On there, so
that's one man's opinion. It's okay.
Yeah, so go check out Beacon. I think it's really cool.
That is a cool idea.
The problem with us finding all these freaking platforms means I spend more money.
True.
On there. Okay, so one thing about the KickCast is we usually have our rating system backtrack or sack, and you may have noticed we do not do a lot of sacks.
We don't. And I think it's because we're kind-hearted. Deep inside, we're like, you know what? They're trying. Or we pick the good projects that we actually want to go somewhere. So you're right. There's not a whole lot of sacking going on.
Yeah, because the problem is, in my opinion, we find so many good projects. We're like, I don't want to waste one of the 3 spots for a bad project. I want to put in one of these good projects.
I was going to say, maybe we should just do a show. If we did a show with straight sacks, we could just bag on a couple of projects and be done in like 10 minutes. This one sucks.
That should be our April Fool's episode.
There you go. I love it.
We're going to do the reverse of it. It's the sack only episode.
The sack again.
If you guys want to find a lot of sacks, you can check out on Reddit, because Reddit has a subreddit for everything. Do you Reddit, Drew?
I don't as much as I know. I'm afraid of what I'd find.
Friend of the show, Jeff Hawks.
Loves
Reddit. He lives on Reddit. I think it's funny because it used to literally be 6 guys, putting together the site. And they're like, we're going to take down Dig.
It's working.
So they have a subreddit, and if you guys are listening with your kids, I apologize, but this is the name of the subreddit. You may want to skip 10 seconds ahead. The Reddit is called Shitty Kickstarters with an S on there. And what the Reddit shows really, really bad Kickstarters on there, and
they are hilarious. Like if you're showing this right now, but basically they link back to these horribly put together projects that either aren't thought out or not even like, they just have no purpose.
Yeah, like this one, for $100 pledge, you get a $10 Starbucks card.
Brilliant.
On that, I like the one that's at the top right now, because I actually found it before I found this subreddit.
Oh, really?
It's some guy who wants $2,000 on there, and he says, I want $2,000 so I can go on 13 dates, because there's a mathematical formula saying that you'll find your true love in like after you date 13 different people on there. And like his budget for a nice date is like £100, which is like $200.
Wow. Wow.
I'm like,
I think you probably find love pretty quickly if you're dropping $200 on a date.
Yeah, I know. And I'm going like, I may not go out on that many dates, but I don't remember spending $200 on it before.
Wow. No, there are some really good ones in here. So I was looking at these, and what I love is that when the Redditors post these, they make like their own little picks. For instance, I like beer, so pay me to make it, but I have no idea how. Right? That's, I back that. What's another one? I'm super serial, you guys. Pay me $25,000 to back up your brain. These are fantastic.
The world's first phone-to-phone charger. Don't carry a backup or borrow your friend's phone. Just run down your friend's phone battery. $11 and shipping isn't free if you're not in India.
Wow, these are so good, and I ran across one actually in my pool of friends and family, and I was looking back through their like past things that they had put up there, and their project that they had linked to. I just kind of facepalmed and just went, oh, I wish they would have come to me and said, hey, would you vet this real quick and tell me what you think? The plan was basically. And it was like this sad, like pity play on purpose. Like, I need money for my kid's Christmas, so I'm going to pull out my facial hair with tweezers one by one, like, and videotape it because everybody on the internet loves pain, and so I'm going to do this. And it came up with like I think $15 out of whatever 2,000 or what. And I was just like, I think we probably could have run with that if you could have come to me first. I could have gotten you through.
Yeah, I
could have got you the money.
We could have gotten something so much more exciting than that.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Let me guess. Like one of his tiers was he going to send one of the facial hairs he pulled out with tweezers?
No, actually, I could have run. No, it was like I'll go clear up to my whole head if I have to. Like it was pure like desperation, and I get it as a father. I get it. I would pull out my full facial hair, but it's just again
Do you
the
have
execution.
facial hair?
Shut up. It's hard. It's hard to see, but no. I guess shitty Kickstarters, man. These guys they found the gold, but there's just so many that people that don't think about it, right? They don't. How many of these did you see? Because we punched through a bunch of these. How many of them did you see that actually had more than like $20 already?
Not a lot of them.
Not a lot.
I mean, I've seen some of these were canceled, and
yeah,
it's pretty bad.
Like the ones that wanted to remake Super Mario 64.
Yeah,
like they want to remake it as if that was okay. No, you can't do that.
There's something called copyright that you have to.
Sorry, we digress. We could go on about these all night, but you're right. I think we should definitely make our picks for the first Kickstarter.
So if you guys sometimes want to laugh.
Yes, it's a good laugh.
Yeah, I mean, if you go there, you probably won't spend money. But when you listen to this show, it tends to skew on the other side that you're going to end up backing something.
It's like, what we could probably do? We could do our 3 projects and then at the end throw in like what we call a kicker in the news business and be like, hey, here's our shitty Kickstarter of the week.
We got to do that. All right, so
here's the sack of the week. And that's good.
Yeah, we got to do that. All right, so for our first project of the night.
We get to projects now. Sorry.
Yeah, so this is actually something that I think you probably do more than me. Well, okay, both of us actually travel fairly often on there. Yeah. We just got back from CES and stuff. And what's one of the problems is either having enough clothes by the end of it, or overpacking, so you're like totally overload your suitcase.
Like I had 4 shirts of the exact same thing packed because I was working a booth, so I had to have 4 of the exact same thing packed when I could have used our first project.
Yeah. And our first project is actually called the Dolfi. And what it is it's actually a
personal vibrator.
Sort of on there. Except it does on ultrasonic frequency, so you wouldn't feel anything.
Oh, right.
And what it's used for is it's actually a washing device.
This is really strange, honestly, because it looks so cool, so sleek, but it is for ultrasonic washing, making a washing machine in your sink or something.
Yeah. So essentially what you do is you put your clothes into a container, like a sink or a bucket. You add the detergent, and then you put in this Dolfi right here, and you turn it on, and the blue light will turn on, and that's showing you that the ultrasonic waves are actually going through. And what those waves do is, since they're going at a very fast speed, they're kind of, you don't see it in person and you can't hear it, but essentially they're just like ramming into the clothes and just jettisoning the dirt out with, the detergent is going to cover it and pull it out.
Their animation on this was brilliant. It was like ultrasonics. I know what it is, right? But the way that they explain the how the ultrasonic creates these little tiny microscopic little bubbles that not only like go outward, but they kind of implode on themselves and thus make little mini jet streams of water to push things out of the fibers. It was actually very convincing.
Yeah, and so the process takes about 30 to 40 minutes on there. And keep in mind that this is not, it doesn't do your rinsing and it doesn't do your drying. That's something you got to do after this, but it just does the washing portion of it.
Yeah,
but,
that's
that's the hard part. You especially if you have delicate clothes and stuff. You don't want to be trying to rub them against each other and get a stain out and stuff, because that's how you ruin your clothes.
Right. And so this would be ideal, because often when I wash delicates around my house, and granted, with 3 little girls, eventually I'll get more, but for right now, only a handful. But it's small loads, right? It's just small loads. And so to be able to run a quick small load, even here at the house when I'm not traveling, I think this would be a really cool way to do it. And it just seems so delicate.
Yeah, and I love it. And one of the benefits, though, is I love this because, sometimes you might have this problem, too, is your kids go to bed at 10, which means you can't do the laundry after that.
Yes.
They're just going to keep them up, right?
Yep.
Since this is, doesn't make any sound, you can run it at night and the house will be silent. And it's perfect for me because, there's not enough time in the day, Drew, to do everything. So.
No, it's true. It's true. Absolutely true. This is fantastic. I mean, the project goes above and beyond. Besides just the Dolfi, they have a Stay Fresh set that kind of adds in this traveling packet that acts as a hanger and a dryer for things. I mean,
it gives you the hooks and everything. And I mean, I love this idea. For me, it's a back, especially if you travel a lot. I mean, and I'm not cool like Drew that has 4 of the exact same shirts. So if my favorite Lucky shirt goes out, and I'm out of luck.
Done
there, but I can just throw this in. This is, it's probably the size of my palm at most. So it's battery pack charger, which I carry like 3 of them anyways when I go to a convention. So stick that into my suitcase, and you're good to go. So what about you, Drew? Is this a back?
It's definitely a back. I think this to me is like a great technological advance to say, you know what, we can do ultrasonic washing and we can do it really small. Here's the core component that you need to make that happen. I hope to see this happening way more often. It's brilliant, smart. I'm excited for it. Well priced as well. I mean, for what it does, it's like a washing machine for. I mean, the early bird is like $89. I'm excited to see them go. They still got like another 30 days left, so a whole another month, and they're already a quarter of the way there. So I'm excited to see this one grow. Definitely a back for me.
So it's a good chance. And then speaking of using ultrasonic waves to kind of hit dirt, how about you introduce what our second project is?
Hitting. I'm going to do all the hitting. So for our second project, this one's interesting to me because it's a film, but not a film. Hits is a film by David Cross. It's called Hits. It was something that he put together. David Cross, by the way, has been in many a different show, right? You may know him from things like Arrested Development. He's the Never Nude. What else do you say?
I think it was on Just Shoot Me or one of those early 90s sitcoms.
Possibly. I know he does something called Mr. Show now.
He was on Archer.
So we know this guy. He's just a normal average Joe that's somewhat famous. Well, he wrote this funny independent film called Hits, but here's what he's doing with Kickstarter, and this is what entertains me, is that he's looking to change the distribution model with Kickstarter. So he makes an indie film, and usually within the indie film, you go and you try and get into festivals, and then at the festivals, you hope to get a little bit more distribution. So if somebody likes it, they pick it up and can get it to, Netflix, cable outlets, TV station, other ways. And so what he found was that he got this show into Sundance, met up with some offers from distributors, and they had plans for this film, but to him and his crew, they were a little lackluster. His words, lackluster. So they decided to release it themselves in kind of an unusual way as almost an experiment. They're launching it nationally to theaters and on BitTorrent as a pay-what-you-want type of model. So they're using this Kickstarter to basically say, how much would you pay to see the film? So you get a downloadable stencil, you can get tickets to the show, you can get the BitTorrent, but their plan for this $100,000 project here is basically that they're going to try to hit 20 theaters, rent out the theater, and you show up and watch the show there. So it's a new way of distributing things. Does that make sense? So it's not, the show's done. It's already been out there, but instead of paying full price on iTunes, you can back this project and try a different method of backing things. So here's a little blurb from what he wrote on this page down the middle. He says, we want you to decide how much tickets cost, and you pay the artist directly, not the distributors or the studios. This is kind of an experiment, first of its kind, to see if we can make it more sustainable for both the fans and the filmmakers. So in order to do this in theaters as widely as possible, we need your help to raise $100K. we're distributing ourselves, there are costs associated with making all that happen, the theater rental fees and marketing and publicity, but we want to get this far and we need your help. So to me, this is a brilliant use of crowdfunding and kind of a way to separate the machine that pumps out Hollywood crap after Hollywood crap from the independent who needs the money, needs the distribution channel that Hollywood has. This is kind of a way to circumvent that. So I guess I'm really just intrigued that this is a fantastic new experiment to see how they can distribute the film.
I love the idea of this, and not only because, I mean, how old is this model of you make a movie, you sell it to the movie theaters show it in there, they can't show it anywhere else, for a couple months. Then you sell it to the cable companies, then you can't, the airlines and stuff, you can't show it anywhere else on there. And then finally it gets to DVD, Blu-ray or whatever, then that's finally you get it on there.
And it's only recently that's been sped up, right? Yeah. Now it's like 6 weeks to get through that. But you're right, that's kind of I don't say a broken model, but it leaves the guy who made the content in the dust.
Yeah,
he gets like 10% or less.
Yeah, and I could see it back in the day when the technology wasn't there. The technology is now where we can get it instant. And I know people who want to go to the movie theaters to see these shows, but unfortunately they have a family. And I mean, how much does it cost you to take your family to the movie theater? I'm guessing probably around $100, even if you leave them at home and you go on date night, because you have to pay for the babysitter and everything else too, right?
It does. It's up there. I think to see even a matinee, it's like $35 for my family.
Yeah,
like,
so that means you probably don't go see a lot of movies, right?
Nope.
On there. So, but would you be willing to pay $20 to watch a movie? The kids are going to bed, you just throw it on the Roku or the Apple TV. Just watch it you and your wife.
If I own it, I'd pay $20 to own it for sure. For a rental, I'm a lot cheaper. But yes, especially if I know a majority of that money is going to the person who made the art, right? Who actually did it. That's big for me.
Yeah. Then you'd actually be able to do the water cooler talk where everybody's like, "Oh, have you seen this movie?" And you're like, "Oh yeah, I just watched it last night with my wife." Because I've been left out before. People are like, "Oh, you got to go watch this movie." Like, "Oh, I haven't had time," or
right, you can't make it there.
On there. So I love this idea. I mean, that's why I actually liked the interview when it came out. The movie itself's not that great. It's a stoner movie. What did you guys really expect? But I love that they actually released it day and day of the movie theater release on there. And guess what made more money?
Not the movie theater. And which one made more money for the guys that made it?
Yeah.
Probably the digital.
And then I love how this goes straight to David Cross and the creator guys, because people don't realize this. You go listen to a song on the radio and stuff, you're like, oh, they're probably rolling in the dollar bills right there. But then you realize it's the recording company that takes most of the profits, and they get like pennies.
So true. So true.
So this is why it's partially why I love Kickstarter in the first place, is because you're bypassing these middlemen or these big guys who always skim something off the top, and you're helping the person who actually wants to create something and make it. So. I'm a huge fan of this on there, and I think I'm going to back this on there because he has a really good cast and stuff, and I'd be interested how much it cost him to actually film the entire thing too.
Oh yeah, I bet he's got some back end stuff.
This is one thing that if you're planning on doing a movie or a short film and stuff, make sure you calculate your distribution costs too. That seems to be something that people forget, and if you want to equate that to a commodity that you're making, how much are you going to spend on logistics and shipping? This is the movie version of shipping on there. It's the distribution costs on there. And
that's true.
$100,000. I mean, that's a lot.
This is yep. Hopefully, it gets them into the cities they want to get into. I've been doing this with chasing budgets for a documentary that I'm going to be working on, which you should see soon on Kickstarter, and an independent film, which is about $3 million more than the documentary, but. This same thing has come up. Where does it go when it's done, and who do we hand it off to, or do we? So this is great. Yeah. This is good
on there. So for me, it's back. It's
back as well.
Too, on there.
Yep.
All right. So our next project and final project of the night is, you go out, watch a great movie by David Cross. You're all pumped and excited, but it's like midnight now, and you're like, crap, I got to wake up tomorrow to go teach a class at 6 in the morning because who schedules a class at 6 in the morning?
Not me.
On there. But you can't go to sleep because you're all pumped and like, oh, that was so good. So what do you do, Drew? Do you just, stay up and
I play video games. That's what I do.
You show up to class and you're just all groggy and stuff. Yep. Or maybe you can't sleep because, your roommate is a loud snorer on there, or you sleep next to the airport. So all night you're just on there. on there. So
these life problems, these are hard. Yeah.
I mean, sleeping's important. You know, it helps regenerate you, get your energy back on there.
Good sleep, right?
Yeah,
Not just being laying in bed, but good sleep.
Good sleep, good deep sleep on there. And, you know, people have tried things. One of the more common things is people try to take Benadryls or, you know, pills to get them to sleep. And the problem with that is sometimes you're just hitting yourself with hard chemicals and stuff. So our next project right here, it tries to be able to be a good sleep aid, and keeps you from actually taking pills on there.
It's like a responsible sleep aid.
Yeah.
Sleep responsibly.
Yeah. And what you do is you spray it on your skin on there. So sprayable sleep. And must I say, when I put up our third project vote, this was unanimously.
People liked the
English is
sprayable
good.
sleep.
Yeah. Everybody loves sprayable sleep on there. And this got the most votes. So you guys actually picked. So if you know, keep an eye on our social media networks on the nights we record, because that's when you get a chance to vote for projects.
Yeah.
Here. And so this is actually a topical melatonin spray. And people are going like, wait, melatonin's not new. People have been taking it for years and stuff.
Yeah.
So the problem with melatonin pills that you take is you have to digest it through your body, and your body doesn't absorb melatonin that well on there. What happens is that there's a effect called what is it called?
The I can't sleep.
The first pass effect on there. On there, and what happens is that it only absorbs so much. So some people, they'll take melatonin and they're like, I don't feel anything. It's because of that first pass effect on there. And a lot of these pills, the way they try to get around that first pass effect is by upping the ante on how much melatonin.
How much is actually there. Yeah.
So they're just hoping that it would, it's just going to be, overwhelming and avoid it more. Really, you only need about a third, like 0.03 milligrams of active melatonin to help you fall asleep. Well,
really? Because most of, even for the kids, because they have these little chewables for kids to kind of help them sleep and wind down from the day or whatever. It's for the crazy kids, I'm sure. But even those, I think, come in 3 milligram pills or even 1 milligram. So you only need like a tenth of that to be
on there. And it's because your liver really it's so good at what it does. It just filters out the stuff that you don't need.
Right.
on there. So this spray, how it works is you spray it on your neck about an hour before you want to go to bed, and depending on how long you want to sleep, you can do 2 or 3 sprays on there, and then it will absorb into your bloodstream gradually through the night, so that will keep you asleep properly, because melatonin is actually a chemical that kind of tells your body, hey, you should be sleeping right now.
Right. And it's trying to think, like, it's what is it? There's your body produces it, and at nighttime, basically, when lighting changes, then your body starts to say, okay, I'm going to produce more melatonin and bring on the sleep. So if you ever go camping, like without artificial lights for a long time, you can get much more in sync with the sunrise and sunset than if you are living, the city life and pulling out your device. And if I stare at my phone for hours before bed or even minutes before bed while I'm laying in bed, I have a way harder time sleeping because it's inhibiting my body from making melatonin.
So I mean, I like this. One bottle lasts you a month if you use it like every night, because you have 30 uses per bottle. So
that's a good stretch. Yeah.
On there, I love how some of the other things that they're including is a sleep mask. So you were talking about camping on there. You can put the sleep mask on, so it's pitch black around you.
Right.
On there, and they also have a blue light blocking thing, because blue light tends to keep you more awake too. On there, so what it does is it kind of filters that out, so you're at a lower temperature. I mean, I used to have a program on my laptop that would actually change the color temperature of my screen, depending on the daylight on there to help me adjust a little bit better on there. So that does work on there. I love it, and the nice thing about this is not their first Kickstarter. Their first Kickstarter, I don't even remember. It may have been on the KickCast. I should have looked. Way to be a good TV host by not checking these out, right?
Should we Google this? Google our own show notes?
Their first item they actually did was sprayable energy. So the opposite of sprayable sleep on there, and it essentially was caffeine on there. And yeah, I guess we didn't do it, but I clearly remember seeing it about a year ago. So that actually sold fairly well. Now they're coming back and then tackling the other problem is some people have problems staying awake, me, and other people have problems falling to sleep on there. So this is their solution for that, and that's why I like it. And to me, this project is a track, just because I know that human body chemistry, everybody's not built the same way. So, this may not work for you on there, but why not give it a try? What do you really have to lose?
That's where I'm at on this. I think, but for me, I think that I'm all about, like trying to figure out my body. Honestly, I'm trying to figure out like what does caffeine do to me? What are my drink choices? Soft drinks.
We know what caffeine does to you. Mister, I take a diet Dr. Pepper and I'm awake all night.
And I'm like, yeah, that's it. So here's for me, it's a back for me, because I think that $15 to try it out for a month, like a month pack, that to me is like, oh, and I probably wouldn't take it every night, but I would know what nights I need to get to sleep at a good time, and I think I'd feel better about spraying than I would about taking a pill, because I fear that I'd be too sleepy. They make this sound like you're spraying it on an hour before you rest is more helpful because it's a more natural way. So for me, it's worth $15 to find out if this does work for my body. So for me, it's a bag.
Yeah, I love it. They have 40 days left, and they are already double their goal.
Yes.
So, I mean,
these guys knew where their sales were coming before they launched.
Yeah, on there. So make sure you guys go check that out. And unfortunately, Drew,
what?
I bet you another thing. Sprayable sleep probably better at making you fall asleep than watching us on this show, because we're loud and obnoxious all the time.
If you fall asleep listening to us, you're probably doing it wrong. Just saying.
On there. But that is actually all the projects we have for the night. If you guys have any projects, quick shout out to the iTagger guys in Russia. On there, they sent us a project on there, but we just didn't have time to cover it.
Nope.
If you're looking for a laser tag system, go look for iTagger on Kickstarter.
Spelled ITAGER, so it's like iTagger in English, but iTagger is what they're going for. Along with that, here's our craptastic Kickstarter of the night. There's one out there called a $7. It's a flip band. These guys actually funded like 4 times over. But
Seriously?
it's a way to stick to any goal, tech free. It's basically a rubber band you put around your wrist and snap yourself. I think if you
want to
get past.
I really rather have the Pavlov where it shocks me.
Yeah, that's kind of where it is. And that, my friends, is what you can find on the Reddit side of the world. Thanks for joining us, everybody. It's been fun.
Yeah. If you guys have projects you want to pimp or have us take a look at, send us an email, kickcast@ktdata.net, or leave it on our Facebook page, facebook.com/kt or facebook.com/kickcast. Almost said the wrong show. On Twitter for @night20 for the wonderful Drew Tyler.
Yes, hit me up.
@ktdata for me, I guess. Or if you want to contact the show @kickcast. We all check them all the time. We also, have Google plus.kickcast.net.
For the 6 people that are over there.
Hey, I love Google Plus. On there. And if you want to watch us live, we always encourage you guys to watch us live, because we do talk to you, and you do miss things that happen in the pre and post show. Most of the time, I don't put them in the bloopers. Sometimes I do, but you'll never know.
Some good content comes out of the pre and post. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but it's just fun.
Yeah, it's fun. So you can find that live.kickcast.net. Our next episode will be February 3rd, 2015. Wow, it's already the second month of the year.
Yeah.
Where did the time go? On there. Drew, you got anything else to pimp?
No, I'd be on the lookout. I'll be launching one of my Kickstarters for a documentary about goats, sheep, and steers pretty soon. So keep an eye out for that. It's going to be fantastic.
Everybody just go enroll at Weber State University and go take Drew's class.
Come make films with me. It'll be fun.
So we will see you guys in 2 weeks. Until then, guys. Bye-bye.
Good night.